Newsy News fills in the gaps, chasing stories no one knows, with laughter as the story grows. Newsy News every night, making wrongs turn out right. With a giggle and a grin, let the fun times begin. Scandals broken with a wink, politics served with a drink, breaking headlines you might miss, wrapped in an ironic twist. Faithful fun at all the wines.
Welcome to this evening's Newsy News on the September 30th of 2024. Well, we have another death in the news. I know you guys are going to be shocked. I did not know this person, and I did, in fact, look up the name. Still probably going to butcher it, though, to be very honest with you. But NBA legend Dikembe Mutombo is dead at 58. Welcome, Observation Station. Very sad. As you guys know, not a big sports ball person, but this is incredibly sad. Basketball Hall of Famer Dikembe Mutombo has died at 58 years old after a battle with brain cancer. His career spanned from 1999 to 2009 and featured 8 All-Star appearances and 4 Defensive Player of the Year award. Oh, Mutombo. Thank you, Kevin. As you know, I was probably going to screw this up royally. But I do know that basketball has defensive players now. Who knew? I sure didn't. Dikembe was simply larger than life, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said in a statement. On the court, he was one of the greatest shot blockers and defensive players in the history of the NBA. Off the floor, he poured his heart and soul into helping others. Hailing from the Democratic Republic of Congo, Dikembe played college basketball at Georgetown and that was selected 4th overall in the 1991 NBA draft pick by the Nuggets. He later played for the Hawks, the Sixers, the Nets, the Knicks, and the Rockets. I thought the Rockets were from baseball. Okay. Apropos. One of the most iconic moments of his NBA career came in 1994 when the 8th seed Nuggets stunned the Western Conference's top seeded Supersonics in the first round of playoffs. He celebrated jubilantly on the floor while clutching the basketball. He led the league in blocks per game 3 times, and he would often celebrate his blocks by wagging his finger to say "nuh-uh," and rebounds per game twice. After his playing career, he became an ambassador for the NBA, spreading his love of the game worldwide. There was no one more qualified than Dikembe to serve as the NBA's first global ambassador. He was a humanitarian at his core, and he loved the game of basketball and could use it to make a positive impact on communities, especially in his native Democratic Republic of Congo and across the continent of Africa. I had the privilege of traveling the world with Dikembe and seeing firsthand how his generosity and compassion uplifted people. He was always accessible at NBA events over the years with his infectious smile, deep booming voice, and signature finger wag that endeared him to basketball fans of every generation. Dikembe's indomitable spirit continues on in those he helped and inspired through his extraordinary life. I am one of many people whose lives were touched by Dikembe's big heart, and I will miss him dearly. On behalf of the entire NBA family, I send my deepest condolences to Dikembe's wife, Rose, their children, his many friends, and the global basketball community, which he truly loved and which loved him back. In addition to his wife, Rose, he is survived by their 3 children, plus 4 adopted children from Rose's brother after he passed. Absolutely. What a wonderful person to adopt, children that when you have a sibling who passes, I can only imagine when there are children that need to find a home, find new parents, find new sources of strength and comfort. That, opening up your heart is easy, but it can also cause upheaval in your own family. And dealing with kids who have lost parents it's incredibly hard. So, what a wonderful person. I wish I understood basketball, but I don't. But what a great legacy to leave behind. Uh, in a happier story about the hurricane, if one could be, a devoted dad braves a 30-mile trek through Hurricane Helene flood debris to walk his daughter down the aisle. Now, you're not crying, I'm not crying. Let's do this as professional, non feeling adult people. If you happen to see me tearing up, I am simply grilling and or cutting onions. A South Carolina father made a treacherous 30-mile journey on foot through Hurricane Helene ravaged Tennessee, risking life and limb to ensure that he could walk his daughter down the aisle at her wedding. On his grueling 5.5 hour overnight trek, most of which was in total darkness, Dave Jones scrambled over mountains of gnarly flood debris, dodged heavy machinery, and even got stuck up to his knees in mud. Miraculously, though, he made it to the church on time. He initially planned to drive from his home in South Carolina to Johnson City, Tennessee, a roughly 2 hour drive under normal conditions, but Mother Nature had other plans. And after 7 hours on the road, he was informed by a state trooper in the home stretch that Interstate 26 and any conceivable back route to the venue were impassable due to severe flooding. Undeterred, Jones, a former marathon runner, steeled himself to hoof it the rest of the way, despite his phone's flashlight being his only source of light, local outlet WJHL reported. It's awful, Jones said. I can tell you a lot about mud and debris fields where I've had to climb 6 and 7 foot tall piles of debris of old fencing, huge trees, and it was just a tangled mess, and dead end roads and all kinds of things. While no part of the journey was a cakewalk, he recalled one particularly harrowing moment where he wondered if his luck had run out as he encountered a cleaning crew clearing roadways with heavy machinery just as he'd gotten stuck in the mud. Given that it was completely dark and the operator had no idea where he was almost smacked by a swinging arm of a backhoe, repeatedly ducking down to escape being brained as he became stuck deeper and deeper in the unyielding mud. Yeah, again, I'm glad he got to see his daughter, but holy mazzoli. Just a lot. It was up to my knees in mud. I couldn't move, Jones told the outlet, and he doesn't see me. Of course, his cab is facing the other way most of the time, and he's swinging this thing around. I'm ducking, really. I think this could be it. There was a lot of prayer at that point. Somehow, Jones managed to free himself from the sludgy prison that very nearly became his tomb, losing a shoe in the process, which he later had to retrieve before continuing on his voyage. In a desperate attempt to remain visible to cars streaming by once the road was clear of the flood zone, Jones grabbed a reflective stake, which he later gifted to his daughter, Elizabeth, and her new husband to commemorate his precarious and unconventional route to the wedding. Oh, look, he's giving her the little thing. I brought the reflector to the reception. I presented it to Elizabeth, my daughter, and Daniel just for them to remember to be a protector and a good reflection of each other and a reflection of God. I am not crying. Elizabeth said she had no idea what her father had put himself through to get to the ceremony. It's so emotionally moving to know that my dad loves me that much that he'll come through all of that just to get to my wedding and be here on time, Elizabeth Marquez told the outlet. Although Jones resisted being labeled a hero, claiming he only did what any dad would do, Elizabeth said that he's a hero to her and that she is so thankful he made it. And every dad can be a hero to their daughter, their son. A, a lot of heroic things are just ordinary things that you do because you just need to, and that's what parents do. I would walk through mud in my own, halting way to get to my kid's wedding. And I think most parents would too, or we would try to. The Simpsons is ending. I stopped watching The Simpsons when they stopped being funny, but apparently there was a series finale. Who knew? The Simpsons unexpectedly aired its series finale, leaving fans perplexed. I didn't realize that we were still getting new Simpsons. Is The Simpsons over? The long-running animated sitcom series confused viewers when it aired a show that was dubbed its series finale when season 36 premiered on Sunday. The episode, titled Bart's Birthday, opened with an animated version of Conan O'Brien, who used to write for the show, hosting a gala with animated celebrities. Quote, "It's such an honor to be with you for this series finale of The Simpsons," O'Brien said to the crowd. "I knew I was the right man for the job because I've hosted the last episode of my three of my own shows and counting." Well, it's true. Fox has decided to end The Simpsons, O'Brien continued. "This show was such a special part of my early career, so it means the world to me to be here. Also, I left a sweater in the writer's room in 1993, and this is the only way they'll let me get it back." After claiming Fox has been trying to end the show for years, O'Brien showed clips from what he said were unaired series finale scenes from classic episodes like 1990's Bart the Daredevil and 2000's Little Big Mom. O'Brien then presented the season 36 premiere and revealed the big twist. The episode was created using AI and involves different dramatic moments that try to wrap up the show. Mr. Burns dying, Mo shutting down his bar, Principal Skinner retiring were among the AI created scenes that hilariously played out through the episode. There were also animated recreations of final scenes of popular shows like The Game of Thrones, Succession, Sopranos, Breaking Bad, and Frasier. Interesting. At the end of the episode, Bart snaps out of the AI illusion, which saw him turning 11 despite being 10 since the show's start. Once Bart is sentient again, the faux series finale comes to an end. Interesting. Could they not be any more, I don't know, done with ideas? The show's AI storyline left fans perplexed, but they eventually realized that the show isn't actually ending. Quote, "I legit thought that this was the series finale until I realized it was a joke. But this was a great, funny season 36 premiere. Loved all the references," wrote one fan on X. And do we really need to continue to say formerly Twitter? I mean, do we still need to say that at any point? I definitely fell for that series finale on an screen graphic, another person tweeted. "Tonight's premiere, not season finale, of The Simpsons was freaking brilliant. Great work, writer Jessica Conrad." The Simpsons aired its first episode in December 17th, 1989. The series was created by Matt Groening and is currently voice casted by Dan Castellaneta for Homer Simpson, Julie Kravner for Marge Simpson, Nancy Cartwright for both Bart and Maggie Simpson, and Yardley Smith for Lisa Simpson, and Hank Azaria for various characters, but not Apu anymore. Growing 70 addressed the possible end to the series in a 2021 interview with USA Today. "My standard answer is there's no end in sight because anytime I speculate on the show ending, people who work on it and diehard fans get really upset," he said. So anyways, say there's no end in sight. The season 37 of The Simpsons has yet to be announced, though. So there you go. Although, just continue to work with freaking Futurama and let's let The Simpsons die. In crazy, crazy news, and if you are in Georgia, please follow the smart people's recommendations. I don't know uh, what to tell you to do in this particular situation, but over 90,000 Georgia residents are taking shelter after a chemical fire uh, as haze and a smell spreads to Atlanta. So, this was a chemical plant that apparently had, I guess, some water. When water touches on these chemicals, apparently it explodes or something. I don't know. I don't know what happened here other than the government is telling you to shelter in place. I don't know how I feel about that one, but I am not the government, so listen to your local, authority figures. A weekend fire that sent a massive plume of dark smoke into the Georgia sky has led to complaints about a strong chemical smell and haze several miles away across metro Atlanta, where some schools canceled outdoor activities and residents living near the fire sheltered at home. More than 90,000 people east of Atlanta were told to keep sheltering in place Monday, a day after the chemical plant fire. The haze and chemical smell spread to Atlanta by Monday, prompting firefighters to use detectors to check the air quality in various parts of the city. Mayor Andre Dickens said, "We are sending investigators to the site to determine the cause of this dangerous incident and the safety gaps at the facility that allowed this huge fire to occur." Steve Owens, chairman of the U.S. Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigation Board, said in a statement Monday, "Tens of thousands of people have been put potentially at risk by this catastrophe." Northeast of Atlanta, Ariane Johnson took her Great Dane outside in Swanee on Monday morning when she encountered a foggy air that slapped you in the face. "I used to work at a water park and it felt like walking into a pool house," she said. Closer to the source of the fire, officials said that chlorine, a harmful irritant, had been detected in the air from the fire at Biolab plant in Conyers, Georgia. The Rockdale City or county government said on Monday this plant is about 25 miles southeast of downtown Atlanta. Who had to evacuate? People in the northern part of Rockdale County, north of Interstate 20, were ordered to evacuate on Sunday, and others were told to shelter in place. Sheriff's Office spokesperson Christine Nesbitt didn't know the number of people evacuated, though it covered a large portion of the community of Conyers. Media reports said the number was about 17,000. What should you do if you're told to shelter in place? The best practice for sheltering in place is to turn the air conditioning off and keep the windows and doors shut, Rockdale County officials said. Emergency and management officials in Fulton County, which encompasses much of Atlanta, said people concerned about the haze or smell should follow the same advice: stay indoors, close their windows and doors, and turn off the air conditioning. Where else are people reporting concerns? The residents of at least three large metro Atlanta counties, Fulton, DeKalb, and Gwinnett counties, on Monday reported seeing a haze or the strong smell of chlorine. In Atlanta, officials believe the hazy conditions and chemical smell is related to the Biolab fire, and the Atlanta Fulton County Emergency Management Agency said in a statement, employees are testing the air for chemicals including chlorine, hydrogen sulfide, and carbon monoxide. By early Monday afternoon, no immediate life safety issues had been identified. Atlanta Fire Rescue reported further testing is ongoing. In Swanee, Johnson said she got a headache and has been coughing. "My upper chest and throat have been tight all day." Later on Monday afternoon, when she let the dogs out again, the air smelled like latex, but not as strong as earlier. "I still don't feel 100% normal," she said Monday afternoon. Georgia's largest school system, Gwinnett County Public Schools, initially canceled all outdoor activities on Monday. School officials added that they've also taken steps to stop outside air from coming into the buildings. Monday afternoon, the school system reversed course and said that after school activities could be held. The DeKalb County School District also announced that no after school outdoor activities or athletics would take place. Closer to the fire, students in Rockdale County Public Schools were already out of school for fall break. In nearby Newton County, schools closed Monday, partially because of the large size of the evacuation zone. The fire ignited when a sprinkler had malfunctioned around 5 a.m. on Sunday at the biolab plant in Conyers. Rockdale County Fire Chief Martin McDaniel told reporters. The malfunction caused water to mix with water reactive chemicals, including producing a plume of flames. McDaniel said that there were employees inside the plant, but no injuries were reported. The fire was brought under control around 4 p.m. on Sunday. BioLab's website says it's a swimming pool and spa water care division of Lawrenceville, Georgia-based Kick Consumer Products. The Conyers facility opened in 1973. In May 2004, a huge fire in a warehouse at Conyers Complex set off multiple explosions and prompted the evacuation of 300 people as chlorine-laden cloud rolled through the area, the Associated Press reported at the time. The plume of green, gray, and white smoke stretched for 10 miles or 16 kilometers. At least 9 people went to the hospital at that time. Then, in June 2015, 6 Rockdale County firefighters were hurt in a fire at a complex, but none of the injuries were life-threatening. The Rockdale Citizen reported at the time. Another fire the following year prompted some voluntary evacuation. Why is this plant still... why is this plant still, around? I mean, this plant seems to have nothing but fires. Okay, then in September 2020, a chemical fire at the same plant in Conyers prompted authorities to shut down both directions of Interstate 20 during morning rush hour. Inside the plant, biolab workers used forklifts to try to move chemicals away from decomposing chemicals to prevent a catastrophe, but their forklifts were sliding on the wet floor and fumes of the chemicals were forming. Firefighters assessed the situation, but it was hindered by poorly stacked pallets of materials, and the Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigation Board later determined unfortunately 9 of the firefighters back then were evacuated to hospital after inhaling hazardous vapors. Our top priority is ensuring the community's safety. Maybe don't let them rebuild. Holy God. This place looks like it's never had so many days since last accident. And our teams are working around the clock to respond to the ongoing situation at our facility in Conyers, Georgia. I mean, at this point, does the spokesperson for the company not just have, "Oh, it's Conyers again. We are working very hard to protect you." Again, from ourselves. Again. I mean, at this point, yeah, and a lot of these exothermic, endothermic kind of reactions, I mean, there's nothing you can do as a firefighter, and their poor lungs are getting just torn up from this, I'm sure. I don't know. Maybe don't let them rebuild this time. I'm just saying, Georgia, maybe don't let them rebuild. This is just for Jung. I don't know if she's in the audience, but I did send this to her because apparently BTS's Suga was fined $11,500 for being intoxicated while driving an electric scooter. Now, I'm afraid to drive one of those electric scooters, sober. So, I mean, maybe don't get caught next time, sir. BTS member Suga has been fined 15 million won or $11,500 for driving an electric scooter while intoxicated, according to Reuters. A judge at the Seoul Western District Court imposed the fine on Friday, which was confirmed by a court official today. Reuters notes that the defendant was notified of a summary judgment can apply for a regular trial within 7 days in order to challenge the decision. The DUI incident took place early August when Suga fell off his scooter outside the gate in front of his home. Police spotted his fall and, after giving him a breathalyzer test, determined that he'd been riding the scooter while intoxicated. His blood alcohol level was 0.227%, which exceeds the legal 0.08% threshold. Initially, Suga offered an explanation and an apology, writing, "I apologize to everyone I hurt with my careless and wrong actions, and I will be more careful in my actions in the future to prevent such an incident from occurring again." He later released a second apology to clarify what happened. "On the night of August 6th, I made the mistake of riding an electric scooter on the sidewalk after drinking. I also apologize for the confusion I caused by my first apology that I hastily uploaded on the 7th. I should have thought more deeply and been more careful, but I failed." He accepted full responsibility for the incident and extended his apology to his BTS bandmates and team, as well as the fans who have always given me so much love despite my shortcoming. He added, "I know that it is difficult to heal the wounds and disappointments Okay, sir, you didn't like run over a crate of puppies. I am pissed off that you decided to be inebriated while on any sort of thing, but it's again not like you invaded a foreign country." The singer has dealt with a lot of criticism since his arrest. There's been a significant backlash from fans in Korea, with many signing a global petition asking him to leave BTS. Okay, well, apparently I stand corrected. Apparently you need to triple apologize, sir. With many signing a global petition asking him to leave BTS. "The Global Army Alliance supports all 7 members of BTS," they wrote. The Global Army Union represents 127 groups of BTS fans around South Korea and elsewhere overseas, and makes it clear that they support all 7 members of BTS. Suga has been completing his mandatory military service as a social service agent in South Korea since last year. BTS are currently on hold while members complete their service, although several have been releasing solo material, including RM, who collaborated with Megan Thee Stallion earlier this month. I can proudly say I have no idea who any of these people are. I will say that I got through this entire article without calling them BTK, which is a win for me because that's usually where my mind goes with that one. I'm like, who wants to be a member of BTK? BTK has groups, and I was like, oh, BTS. I still don't know what BTS stands for. I am just giving you guys the news I know nothing about: sports ball and K-pop. In another gross revelation about the Sandra Birchmore case, a brother of the cop accused of unaliving Sandra Birchmore apparently alleges that he had sex with her before her slaying, knowing she was carrying twins, apparently, according to the brother. So I don't know how much of this has been, corroborated, but the twin of former Massachusetts cop accused of murdering Sandra Beechmore slept with her days before her death, knowing that she was pregnant with with his brother's baby. Wait a minute, I read that headlong. Both brothers were stooping her? Both of them were gross? Just disgusting. Text messages between William Farrell, 38, and the 22-year-old Breachmore suggest that the pair had the sexy time in a parking lot of her Canton apartment building January 10th, 2021, just 22 days before she is believed to have been murdered by his sibling on February 1st, court papers show. The alleged sexual encounter occurred about a month after Farrell learned that Beechmore was pregnant with his twin Matthew Farwell's baby, which he told investigators he had learned sometime in December 2020, according to a police decertification order obtained by Boston Magazine. What The shiznit. The order signed by Matthew Farwell on September 6th permanently stripped him of ever serving as a police officer in Massachusetts again. Birchmore was found strangled to death in her apartment February 4th, 2021. Her death was initially ruled a suicide. How the hell is a strangulation a suicide? I need to ask all the questions of Canton because I just don't understand this crap. Like, yes, do they have ligatures around their neck? Just, this case is going to make me want to drink. Her death was initially ruled a self-deletion, but 3 years later, in August, former Slough police officer Matthew Farwell was charged with murdering her and staging the scene to appear as though she had unalived herself. The two had allegedly had a years-long relationship, which started when Beechmore was an underage teen serving in the police department's youth law enforcement program, which she joined when she was 13 years old. Both Farwell twins were serving as counselors. That's it. That's it. They're both, this is the first ever twin contestants in the Hunger Games Snake Islands, tournament. What the crap? But only Matthew has been charged with having grossness time with her when she was underage. Still, William, along with youth program director Robert Devine, were accused of molesting Birchmore in a wrongful death suit filed by her family. All three officers resigned from the police department in 2022 and have denied the accusations against them. Neither William nor Devine have been charged with any crimes. Williams' decertification order also said that he misled investigators about the nature of his relationship with Birchmore, with evidence later indicating that the two also had a sexual relationship for 2 years, beginning when she was 20. The order claimed that he and Birchmore exchanged explicit messages and that William had searched their names in criminal information databases numerous times, beginning in 2017. Birchmore had become pregnant just months before her death and believed that it was Matthew Farwell's child, which he also denied through text messages recovered by investigators that indicate the two had been discussing trying to have a kid. Matthew Farwell was caught on camera visiting Birchmore's apartment before her death. After his visit, she was not seen coming or going from the house until her body was discovered 3 days later. What in the ever-living Walmart rapture ridiculousness is this crap? First of all, I don't know what kind of twinness we're dealing with, but if my brother's hitting a woman or, tagging a woman, I'm not going to tag her too just because twinsies. I don't know if that's the weird thing that these two twins have. I mean, hell, earlier today we saw a couple of twins who shared a bra. These people are gross and disgusting, and Massachusetts do better. Freaking hell. Let's toast a little adult beverage to a mom who refused to effing give up. She knew something was wrong and she was going to get to the bottom of this. Jedi Jess, I have not. I can only deal with so much stuff that makes me want to no longer live on this planet. But I can probably look into it tomorrow because I'll just pencil in a pissed off day. A Tennessee mom skeptical of her daughter's self-deletion was vindicated by her husband's confession. A mother's fight for answers about the death of her daughter paid off as her resilience led to a confession from her daughter's husband about her murder that was initially ruled a self-deletion. I will probably ask, I know I have a whole Sarah Boone because I missed an entire hearing, so I was going to do that tomorrow. Quote, there were things that led me to believe I just knew it wasn't a self-deletion. It was like she had plans for the future. People, usually don't usually say, "I'll meet you at church next morning." I was putting all these pieces together and I'm like, just none of it made sense. Jamie Dickerson, mother to 29-year-old April Holt, told Fox News Digital. April Holt was a young mother of two and the wife of 33-year-old Donovan Holt. The Metro Nashville Police Department said April was found almost lifeless in their apartment in Antioch with a plastic bag taped tightly around her neck. She taped it her damn self. Are you kidding me? Who the hell thought this was a self deletion? She taped it herself. Okay. I am not the most logical person, but even I would question, she taped it. She done taped it herself. What? Why is everyone dying here lately? Damn it. Yeah, I'm sure it is. We might have to have a Mo, Snake Island read through. Let's see here. Dickerson said she had hosted a lockout with the kids from her church on July 28th, 2023, and her daughter was supposed to come help her chaperone, but had to cancel and take her son to his football game. I did the lockout and got up the next morning. I cleaned, jumped in the shower, and just laid down. And I saw she texted me, and it said, "How'd the lockup go? I can't make it to the Barbie movie today because Donovan had to work." So she was just telling me that she would meet me at church the next day. And so I lay down and didn't reply to her. Dickerson said that's the last text I ever got from her. Dickerson said she went back to sleep, and about an hour later, Donovan Holt called and said he'd found April unresponsive in the shower and that he was on the way to the hospital, but she was not breathing. Quote, "So I jumped in my car, but even right when I got the first phone call, I was like, something's not right. April's in perfectly good health. An hour and a half ago or so, she texted me perfectly fine, so something's not right. Like I thought maybe she passed out. Maybe she hit her head because she passed out. I didn't know. I mean, why wouldn't she be breathing? I didn't know anything," Dickerson said. Upon arrival at the hospital, Dickerson said she looked into her daughter's eyes and knew she was not there anymore, knew she was gone. Dickerson said she immediately noticed that April's husband, Donovan Holt, was acting strangely. From that second on, when I got in the room at the hospital, he was just like rocking, like pacing. And I'm curled up in a ball on a bench next to him, just hysterically crying and calling out to God to save my child, even though I knew in my gut she was gone. So he's sitting there holding his head and he just acts real weird. And he's like, her throat was hurting this morning. She wasn't acting like herself. He was doing the weirdest things. And I was like, why are you even saying this right now? And he hands me her phone and was like, well, can you make all the decisions for her, medical? And here's her phone. Dickerson continued. Dickerson said she would not find out until later that April had a bag over her head. She said Donovan claimed to tell doctors who said they were not aware. The Metro Nashville Police Department told Fox News Digital that April's case was an unclassified death that had been under investigation for months. Police had no evidence to counter Donovan Holt's explanation that was given during interviews at that time. And the police department was in consultation with the medical examiner's office and the district attorney's office, who initially ruled her death a self-deletion. But us mamas know. Us mamas know when something is not right, and we will pick and peck and prod, and we will figure some crud out. We really will. Dickerson said even though the death of her daughter was first ruled a self-deletion, she found a 47-page cold case supplement report with evidence proving that her daughter did not kill herself, and she was determined to get her son-in-law to confess that he had done it. The key piece of evidence in the police interrogation report was not only that Donovan Holt's fingerprints were found on the bag and tape, but not April's. Interesting. That's when I confronted him, and he confessed to me, and so that's when I went to police, said Dickerson. I wasn't shocked. I know it sounds very strange, especially because he gave me the confession because I'd already known for years. I've been processing these emotions. The harder part is I didn't allow myself to really grieve or heal yet. So now I'm just entering the season of that. Detectives reopened the case once Dickerson reported Donovan Holt's confession. A new set of eyes went over the investigative file after the victim's mother reported a confession she'd gotten from Mr. Holt. The death investigation was immediately reopened. The MNPD detectives traveled to Texas to re interview him, during which he implicated himself in April Holt's death. Donovan Holt was arrested in San Antonio, Texas, and returned to Nashville on Friday afternoon. He was charged with reckless homicide, false reporting, and tampering with evidence after an indictment by a grand jury. When asked if she ever thought her son in law could do this, Dickerson said she was not surprised at all. He had an obsession with April. So the weird part is like you see these movies and they love somebody so much that they're willing to do literally anything. I think that was him because she left him before and he would sleep outside her apartment. He would sleep in her car if it was unlocked. And it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And so I'm not shocked. I think when she said that this time she was very serious, she said, I'm getting a divorce. And 2 weeks later, she was dead, Dickerson continued. Dickerson added that she has so much relief knowing that Donovan is behind bars and her grandson is safe with her after the trauma he was put through that day. The person that you were supposed to love, you killed, and then you put trash bag over her head and ate lunch like she wasn't in the other room dead, and you sent your son in there to be traumatized for the rest of his life. It's just bizarre. Despite being angry at Donovan for taking April away, Dickerson says she does not want harm to him and hopes he finds peace because April would not want her harboring hate. Ma'am, I will harbor this grudge for you. I will open a grudgery. Just bring me your troubles. I will hold grudge for you, ma'am. This absolute trash bag of a human being. Quote, as a Christian woman, I pray that his heart gets right. As a Christian woman, I can also tell you that Jesus flipped some tables and I'd be in table flipping mode. But you're a better person than me. I'd be full table flipping. I'd be like, let me smite someone. Just saying. And that's what I want for him. I know it's what April would want. And even after killing my daughter, that's what I'd want for him. And I would want anybody to be able to have everlasting life. Okay, this chick is much nicer than me. I pray that your bulbs shrivel off. I pray that you're a girlfriend to some big dude. I pray that every night you get cold macaroni and cheese or whatever they serve in prison. Sir, you are lucky that you have an ex-mother-in-law who is praying for your immortal soul. Because over here, I am praying that you get fiber muffins and no toilet paper, okay? Look, someone has to do it. I will be the worst Christian ever. Well, that's an assault. A sheriff is being retried on an assault charge for kicking a shackled detainee twice in the groin. What timeline am I in? What timeline am I in that someone needs to be, reminded that a groin kick is assault? Also, why are you not in a uniform and why are you wearing Birkenstocks? I have so many questions. A Vermont sheriff went on trial Monday for a second time on a charge of simple assault for kicking a shackled detainee twice in the groin in 2022 when he was a captain after a judge declared a mistrial in July. A jury was selected on Monday and the trial began in the afternoon in the case of Franklin County Sheriff John Grismore. This summer, a jury deadlocked, telling the judge it could not reach a unanimous decision after 4 hours of deliberations. After the mistrial, Grismore said he was disappointed that the jury did not acquit him. He said by email on Friday he did not have a comment on his second trial. Grismore was elected sheriff in November 2022, a few months after he was fired from his position as captain in the sheriff's department after a video surfaced of him kicking a shackled detainee. He pled not guilty to simple assault. According to the video, the man who was handcuffed and shackled refused to stay seated on a bench while being detained in the sheriff's office. Grismore, dressed up in shorts and a t-shirt, kicked the man in the groin, then kicked him a second time when the man stood up again. Grismore was the only candidate on ballot for the sheriff after winning both the Republican and Democratic nominations in August 9th, 2002 primary. In December 2023, a Vermont Criminal Justice Council found that he'd violated the state's use of force policy and voted 15-1 that he permanently lose his law enforcement certification, which means he is unable to enforce the law in Vermont. 4 months later, a special legislative committee recommended against impeachment of Grismore, but said the sheriff was doing a disservice by remaining in office and should step down. In response, Grismore said he was disappointed by the amount of time and money that he said has been wasted on this process. You don't kick people in the nuts as a police officer, especially not when you are in jorts and it looks like Birkenstocks. No jorts, no Birkenstocks, no groin kicks. I didn't think we'd have to be this specific, but okay. He said he wouldn't resign and was pleased that Franklin County voters and residents have supported him. I give up. And I don't even, what in the potato salad are we looking at here? Again, what timeline are we here? Y'all, I don't even know what to do with this freaking headline. Y'all, I don't even know. Like, you come here for absurd, and I didn't think it could get any more absurd than the animal gross guy from earlier today. But no, a husband neck hugged dying cancer-stricken wife to, quote, make her pass away quicker, and said he would do it again because he loved her. I got nothing. Y'all, I got nothing here. What? A 46-year-old Utah man admitted to trying to unalive his wife who was in hospice care dying of breast cancer so he could ease her suffering. Dwayne McCullough last week pled guilty to attempted manslaughter for choking his wife, 47-year-old Adrena Lee McCullough, who passed away of cancer on December 21st, 2021. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2020. By October of 2021, the cancer had spread to her neck, brain, lungs, liver, and was considered terminal, her son wrote in a GoFundMe page. She was placed in hospice care at her home in Laverkin, a small town in southwest Utah. Dwayne McCullough, her son, and other family members were sitting by her side the night before her death when he began choking her in a, quote, attempt to unalive her to ease her suffering. Now, as much as I joke, I cannot imagine the pain of watching, someone you love die horribly painfully. But from what I understand with hospice, they keep them relatively pain-free. But I can understand, I'm trying to understand if I were faced with that trauma, would I react in a somewhat weird way? I'm going to say that I wouldn't give anyone an involuntary neck hug, but on that same hand, when my pain has been really bad, I have asked my lawyer friends if Mr. Mo knocks me out, whichever method he chooses, would it be considered assault or just a service? So I can understand how crazy medical situations can make you maybe want to do some felonious shit. Anyway, Family members pulled him off of her as she was gasping for air, the affidavit also said. She passed away the next day. The Laverkin Police Department began investigating with the victim's adult son, filed a complaint accusing his mother's husband of putting his hands around her neck. Family members confirmed his account to investigators. In a phone conversation with cops, her husband admitted to choking her. Quote, he said he put his face up to hers and he put one hand around her neck and next to her carotid artery and pushed just hard enough to help her suffering and make her pass away quicker. Detectives wrote. Dwayne said he would do this again because he loved his wife. Prosecutors originally charged Dwayne McCullough with attempted murder, a first-degree felony punishable by up to life in bars, or life behind bars. He pled down to attempted manslaughter and faces up to 15 years in prison when he's sentenced in December. Adriana's son told Salt Lake City NBC affiliate KSL that he was opposed to a plea deal and plans to address the court during sentencing. I just don't. I give up. I don't know. This has never happened to me, thank goodness. But thank God for a Ring doorbell because now you have a delivery video. Wild footage shows the moment a California mom gives birth outside her home after her water suddenly broke. Yeah, that's a no for me. This is why you get to the house. I had to squat down outside, then my water breaks. This is a no for me for forever. After screaming out for nitrous oxide pain relief, Downing said her husband, Tom, quickly took a peek and told her the baby was already poking out. I mean, I guess that means you guys aren't going to get that nitrous. I got down into the squat and just breathed like I just didn't push at all. Her head cleared on her own. As my husband looked, he told me the baby's blue and only her head was out, and I feel her pushing backward. In the footage, which was edited to cut out the actual birth, she was, holding onto her husband as she hunched over next to the suitcase in the middle of their front path. I didn't know how she was going to clear in in this position, so I got on my side. I'm laying with my leg in the air. Oh, look at the big squishy cheeks. No wonder she had a hard time getting out. Look at that pumpkin head. It's not cute little baby girl. You're beautiful, but you have a pumpkin head, and look at them cheeks. No wonder there was a little bit of a stop. It's like a wave going through your body, and that was my only push. She came out, and she was totally fine. One push, and she was out. Moments later, Downing husband filmed her lying on the doorway, clutching their newborn daughter, Lilabella. She was perfectly healthy, and it was everything I ever dreamed. It sounds like it would be a traumatic birth, but it was very healing and really amazing. Again, them are some chunky cheeks, and we understand what happened now. I can say that because I have given birth to the 6 people with the biggest heads I've ever seen in my entire life. Not sure what tradition this is, but Damon Lewis herds sheep over a London bridge in homage to a medieval tradition. Well, who knew that that was a thing? I had no idea. So there's the sheep. There's whoever that guy is. And he's just running the sheep all over the place. Oh, and he has a dog and a guy in a weird robe and a funny hat. I love it. I only had one 10-pounder. And yeah, I wasn't going to do that again until God made other choices. And he's like, hey, that vasectomy's a little late. And I was like, no. Actor Damian Lewis drove a flock of sheep across the River Thames on Sunday in homage to a centuries-old tradition. Lewis is among thousands of people granted the honorary title of Freeman of the City of London, which in the medieval times came with the right to bring livestock across the river to market without paying tolls. More than 1,000 freemen exercised that right on Sunday in the annual London Sheep Drive, many wearing black hats and red cloaks. Lewis wore his grandfather's wool coat and carried a crook as he led the throng of herding animals over the Southwark Bridge. It was fabulous, said Lewis, star of Band of Brothers, Homeland, and Wolf Hall. Lewis said he was asked to represent the Worshipful Company of Woolmen, a trade guild dating back to the 12th century. He said he was pleased to be part of this eccentric, very British day honoring an old tradition. Manny Cohen, master woolman at the Worshipful Company of Woolmen. This has to be this is a real thing. My people from the UK. Y'all aren't punking Mo, are you? Said that the ancient sheep driving tradition was revived about 15 years ago and has become a major charity fundraising event. There are no plans to bring back any other ancient freeman privileges, such as the right to carry an unsheathed sword in public or to be escorted home if found drunk. Well, I say we get rid of the sheep and bring back long swords. What the hell? I wouldn't be escorted home if I'm found drunk wandering. It's just not fair. All these fun traditions, and I can't get to join. In our final story, but this is something that I'm actually shocked that anyone is getting charged with this, and I haven't kept up with this particular case, mostly because it's South Korea, but we all remember that deadly 2022 Halloween crush where all the people got stuck in that really small alley and a lot of people passed away. South Korea court gives prison sentences to 3 police officers over deadly 2022 Halloween crush. A South Korean court gave 3 police officers prison sentences on Monday over the botched handling of a 2022 Halloween crush at a Seoul nightlife district that killed nearly 160 people. It was the first conviction of officials over the failure by authorities to prevent or adequately respond to the overcrowding that occurred in the popular Itaewon district. No top-level officials have been charged or held accountable, prompting criticism from bereaved families and opposition politicians. The crush, one of the biggest peacetime disasters in South Korea, caused a nationwide outpouring of grief. The victims, who were mostly in their 20s and 30s, had gathered for Halloween celebrations. The Seoul Southwestern District Court sentenced Lee Im-jae, the former chief of Seoul's Yongsan Police Station, whose jurisdiction includes the place that this happened, to 3 years in prison. It sentenced another Yongsan police officer to 2 years in prison and gave a third officer a suspended 2-year term. The 3 officers were convicted of professional negligence resulting in death. The court ruled that the crush wasn't a natural disaster that could have been prevented or toll reduced if the 3 officers were prepared properly for the crowd, alerted others of the danger quickly, and supervised other police officers appropriately. Police officers and prosecutors can both appeal the ruling. The court also ruled that Park Hee-young, the head of Wonsang Ward Office, and 3 other ward officials were not guilty. It said the ward office was unlikely to have the legal right to control or break up a crowd of people. Bereaved family members criticized the acquittal of Park and the other ward officials. Does this make sense? We can't really accept this, Lee Jong-min, a representative of the families, told reporters. In early 2023, a police special investigation concluded that police and municipal officials failed to formulate effective crowd control measures despite anticipating a huge number of people in the area. Investigators say police also ignored hotline calls by pedestrians who warned of swelling crowds before the surge turned deadly. So it does seem like they're getting some low-level people, but it looks like none of the, state or ward planning people will be, you know, taking care of this. It really is very, very sad that, there's kind of the low-level beat officers are going to take the fall for this, and the upper level authorities who should have had a plan put together and things like that didn't. Um, I can only hope that this gives some of the family, some kind of peace, but it sounds like they are not at all impressed with this either. So there you guys are. That is the news for today. And I'll be here tomorrow morning when more crazy news comes around because it is every day. Have been working really hard on the Sailor Moon cross stitch to finish it up, but we will probably be doing Sarah Hearing and Court and Cross tomorrow to finish that up before her trial starts. And we have, Richard Allen's trial starting soon too, though that one will not be televised and no reporters are allowed inside to broadcast. So we will be waiting for nightly updates for that one. Anyhoozle, I'm going to get off of here because youngest most feral has to take a shower, and he has to do it in my shower because if not, he takes all his sister's shampoo and conditioner and makes potions out of him. And, there's only so many times I can buy a whole new thing of shampoo before I get a little irritated. So I am going to go take care of that. Motherhood duties commence. I will see you guys all in the morning. Be safe, be careful out there, and be kind to each other. That's just it. Be kind to each other and don't get yourself on one of our stories. That's all there is to it. Bye, you guys. I will see you in the morning.